Okay, thank you. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علمك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have Tawfiq to continue our study of Training and Education in Islam by the late Ayatollah Mutahhari. And today is the martyrdom anniversary of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. So I offer my condolences to you and Imam for a time. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. As you know, in the last few sessions, we have been studying Ayatollah Mutahhari's discussion about different factors that contribute to tarbiyah. We have talked about tafakkur, we have talked about ibadah, about loving for awliyaullah. The next is marriage. Because for us, tarbiyah and education is not only when you go to school. It starts from before birth and continues up to last moment of our life. So we are always in the process of making ourselves or the people who are under our care better, inshallah. Marriage is also a very important factor that contributes to tarbiyah. He says, Islamically, marriage is not considered as a way of, meeting only some of our, physical needs or, some of our, desires to be satisfied. It's not looked at marriage as a physical relation or, sexual relation only. No. Marriage is a sacred institution. And in Islam, as you know, the Prophet said, there is nothing felt dearer to Allah than marriage, which is the basis for having family and continuity of humanity and community. So we look at marriage as a very spiritual and educational thing. He says, before marriage, there is a chance. I a little bit, of course, change some of the things, but the main idea is the same. Before marriage, there is a chance that maybe someone is very self-oriented, to say the least. I don't want to say selfish. Yes, there is a chance to be selfish, but there is a great chance to be at least self-oriented. Even maybe they have concern for their parents and siblings, but they still maybe someone is self-oriented, has plan for himself or herself. Family is just a small part of it, maybe. It's possible. I'm not saying everyone is like this. When you marry, yourself grows and includes another person. So from marriage point on, you are now concerned about this larger unit, about the union between you and your wife or husband, and this becomes a new self for you. If marriage happens in the way that Islam suggests, and there is mawadda wa rahma, as Allah says, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, then you and your spouse become part of the same self. And many times it's impossible for you to be happy if the other part is not happy, or even you prefer your other part to be happy than yourself. If you have something which is, for example, to eat something delicious, something nice, you prefer that your other self, your other part eats, and you see they enjoy, you will be happy. Or later, then when you have children, this even grows further. If your children enjoy, you enjoy. Sometimes you may sacrifice your comfort or convenience or pleasure of this particular side of the bigger self so that the other parts are happy. So it's a way to get rid of egoism and selfishness. Of course, it can happen even before marriage. You know, some people are, mashallah, so good that even before marriage, they have the same understanding about their parents, siblings, etc., and they are not, you know, self-centered that much. But generally speaking, the greater chance for unity happens after marriage, and then when you have children. So it's a very spiritual practice, because spirituality is mostly a matter of getting rid of your ego and moving towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Da' nafsaka wa ta'al. Leave yourself and come towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or someone said, you know, when a mystic was asked, or a spiritual person was asked about what is the summary of instruction given by mystics, and, you know, what should he do? He said, put your step on yourself, and then the next step is you are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does it mean, put your step on yourself? Means on your ego, on nafsa ammara, not on your divine or godly self, which Allah says, nafakhtu fihi min ruhi. That one actually is going to be nourished. So, to get rid of ego is very important step, and maybe the major step. Maybe you can say everything else goes back to this. Even hubbud dunya goes back to this. So, marriage can help with this. And then, of course, 2 points can be said. One is that he says, we have had some people, even some among some Muslim philosophers, some great scholars, we had some people who didn't marry because they wanted to be more dedicated to spirituality, and they thought if they have, you know, wife and children, it would be difficult. They didn't marry. They try to have a, you know, kind of celibacy. They didn't say this is, you know, wajib or mustahab. No, it was a personal choice. He says, but some of them towards the end of their life, they said to others, you know, we did this, but you shouldn't do it. And Ayatollah Mutahari says also sometimes you could see these people, despite their great level of knowledge, spirituality, sincerity, lots of ibadah they did. But he said you could maybe sense that there was lack of some kind of maturity or some kind of balance that you could see in similar people if they are married. For example, if you compare them to other ulama, people at their level, but who had also married, you could see maybe they are more balanced and more mature and more maybe comprehensive in their outlooks. This is Ayatollah. So, marriage is very important way of progress. Of course, after marriage, this doesn't necessarily happen to all, as I said. Some after marriage remains again selfish, even their selfishness appears more when they are with their parents and siblings. Maybe they control their selfishness because they are part of family, the same blood, etc. But when they meet their wife or husband, they become more selfish. But it needs training, it needs attention, it needs preparation before marriage. You prepare your mind, your heart, and know why you are marrying. You are not marrying with someone to gain only from that person or to start a business and partnerships. Okay, 50%, 50%. If I get less, I am not happy. No, you marry to please Allah, to make someone else happy, help someone in journey, and also in this way, you also will be happy. You give someone help, and then, inshallah, Allah will help you. Even you don't need to get everything you give to the other person. No. That person is responsible to give you the same, but there should be competition for giving more. The more you put inside, the more you get. It's like, when two people, for example, start business. If someone says, I put 50% of capital, then you gain 50% of the profit. But if you put 90%, then you get 90% of the profit. So the more you put of love, mercy, the more you will be rewarded by Allah, the more you get. So you shouldn't think you are losing if you are helping your husband or wife more, or you are showing more love than you are receiving. No, do it for the sake of Allah, continue, and you are the winner. And inshallah, that person also will gradually learn and change. Genuine love, love without expectation, not love for the sake of changing. If you love people without expectation, it will open their hearts, inshallah. So, this is one point. The other point is that Ayatollah Mutahari says we have about some prophet, for example, Prophet Isa alayhi salam or Prophet Yahya, that they were hasur. And it means that they didn't marry. He doesn't mention lots of details about this, but he says that he thinks that this doesn't mean a kind of recommendation that it's better to not marry. They didn't marry. Maybe they had particular reasons, particular situations. Maybe for them it worked better. Maybe for them other things were not possible. Like we have some ladies from Ahlul Bayt, like Lady Masuma, but she seems not to have married. Why? Some people say because maybe people were afraid of marrying daughter of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far with all the pressure we felt about. I think maybe there was no one to be kufr for her, to be at her level to marry. But in any case, this shows that you can be single and at very high level of perfection and spirituality. You can be a role model for people who cannot get married. So those who can get married and find reasonable spouse, they should, and know that this is one step for progress. But those who don't find good spouse, or for any reason they cannot get married, it's not out of their choice, shouldn't think that this is the end of life. No, they should know that still they can progress, and maybe this works for them better, who knows. But we should not delay marriage when it's the right time, especially men. Unfortunately, some men don't commit themselves to marriage. And since in our culture, which is not, of course, Islamic, but it's our culture that men should give proposal, then there are some good women who don't receive good proposal because some men are not, thinking that they should marry. Okay, this is about marriage. The next factor, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, the voice is clear.
It seems my picture is frozen, yeah?
Yeah, your picture got frozen, but your voice was audible.
The next thing is jihad, or a struggle for the sake of Allah. He says this is also something that plays a role in your development and progress. Of course, inshallah, there might be no need for physical struggle or militant struggle. Jihad, as you know, I have explained the book Discovering Shia Islam and Shia Within Faith and Practice. It's a way to improve life. It can be with education, with health. It can be a spiritual jihad. But one way of jihad also is militant jihad, which is to defend the cause, the oppressed, etc. Maybe in your life there is no need for this, but to be prepared for that is very important. He quotes a hadith from Sunan Abu Dawud, one of the 6 Sahih of our Sunni brothers. Over there is a hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can find it in Kanzul Ummal. Man lam yaghzu wa lam yuhaddis nafsahu bighazw mata ala shu'batin min an-nifaq. Ayatollah Mutahari says this hadith is very insightful. And he says it's like a miracle. If someone doesn't do ghazwa, is to take part in the battle. So it has no participation in that, okay, this happens. But the second part says, and doesn't also speak to himself about this. Basically, it means if someone has had no experience of taking part in ghazw and has not had intention and desire for doing so. Basically, he says, no matter what's going to happen, in no circumstances, I am happy to defend, for example, my country, I defend my, nation, my, family, the oppressed people. He says, no, this is not my way. In no circumstances, I am happy to do so. According to this hadith that our Sunni brothers have said, and Ayatollah Mutahari finds it very acceptable and like a miracle, because we are, alhamdulillah, open to accept whatever.
Aga, sorry to interrupt, but your video is not coming.
Okay, so maybe I need to restart. I think we had this problem before. So I will restart and connect again, inshallah.
Okay.
Salaam alaikum.
Yeah, walaikum salam.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we need to be prepared and willing that if needed, we give our life for defense of our family, nation, country, religion, oppressed people, etc. I'm not talking now about philosophy of jihad. Just it's important that to have this willingness, even if you actually don't participate because there is no need. He refers to a story by Rumi, Jalaluddin Muhammad Mawlavi Rumi Balkhi. In his Masnavi, Ma'navi, he mentions that there was a person who was Zahid, who had ascetic life, very much into spirituality, ibadah, dhikr, salat, etc. But this person was thinking that I have not done one ibadah, and that is jihad. So he asked some people, if there is an opportunity, please let me know so that I can also take part, and before I die, I get reward of this ibadah as well. Something happened. There was a battle, and he took part. One day, they announced enemies have come, and we should go and stop them. By the time he got ready, because he had, to make, wuzu, etc., was taking time. He was, not quick. Many people who are spiritual, of course, they are also quick in doing different things. But he was a person who was taking his time, and, by the time he was getting ready and get dressed, etc., they finished. And he was very sad, He said, I didn't have tawfiq to take part. They told him, there is a person that is very vicious and has killed many people, is very dangerous, and you can go and kill him. We have taken him, and you can go and kill him. Of course, I'm not commenting on the story. I don't know what's the circumstances. I'm not saying, what should be done to someone who is taken as captive. This is not our discussion. This is just a story of Mawlavi. When he went, there was just one person who was already tied. The hands were tied up, for example, or somehow in a controlled situation. He wanted to kill that person. And he said, I told him, you are an enemy of God, and, you have to be punished, and you have to see justice. He just screamed at me, and I fell down, and he jumped on me. So when the people went, they saw that actually that person is killing him. They was close to killing him with, his teeth was going to chew his throat. They released him and rescued him. So Ayatollah Mutahari says, what is in this story, the spirit of it, is that it's not easy that all of a sudden you become ready for such things. If you have never been to difficult situations, then when difficulties come, you would not be prepared. Something small and little can damage your morals, can make you fearful to death. You may have heart attack even, or you may run away. So you need to be prepared. for such difficult times. So he says this is also something important that I say, even for example, if it is not like getting ready for this kind of things, at least we should have ability to live with difficult circumstances. If you are too much dependent on, electricity and I don't know, internet and using car and having our, coffee and tea and juice and, all these things, everything ready, instant, all the techniques and gadgets, if we can use them, but we should not become dependent on them. Because a time may come that sometimes you have then to choose between having these things or having your honor or your faith. If you are too much dependent on these things and you are not a strong person, then you cannot make good decisions and you cannot help others as well. So it's very important that we try to remain strong and independent, even if you are using things, but you shouldn't become dependent on them. Finally, in this lesson, there is a question and answer session, just one question, but the question is about, the first question is about helping with designing cinema or movie theater for people who are going to use it for sinful purposes, sinful movies, for example. The second question is more general, is about the difference between thinking of good things and thinking of bad things, and then not doing them. The core answer is this. Generally speaking, when you have good intention for doing something, and in the end you don't manage to do it, Allah rewards us for our good intentions. Yeah, for example, you have intention of going for Salatul Jama'ah or for taking lessons on your faith. You have intention, but you go to masjid, Imam was ill, could not come, there is no Salatul Jama'ah, there is no one to lead Salat, so you say your Salat alone, or masjid is even closed, you go back and say your Salat alone. You get a reward for your intention. Or you want to learn, there is no electricity, no internet. You go, you get ready, you have intention, you get reward for that. But for bad actions, normally, generally speaking, if you have intention, or even if you do some of the things, but it doesn't happen, there is no punishment. For example, if someone wanted to go and watch a bad movie, sinful movie, and goes and cinema is closed, he's not going to be considered like someone who has watched the movie. So he would not be punished or deserve punishment by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he didn't actually commit the sin. For making niyyah of doing good things, you will be rewarded. And if you do it, you will be rewarded more. Because the minimum is 10 times the reward. Man ja'a bil hasana falahu ashra amthal. But for bad intention, normally you are not punished. Unless there is an element of spending money for even that, for example, you spend money for going to haram, then that money that you spent, maybe you need to answer. You cannot just niyyah. Or you have encouraged other people to go, and maybe that needs to be answered. So out of Allah's mercy and rahmah, He rewards us even for good intentions. And generally, there is no punishment for bad intentions as long as they are not put into action. Even if out of your control, you couldn't do it. It's not that you regret it later. No, you really wanted to do it, but it didn't happen. Generally speaking, you will not be punished. But when it comes to impact on your heart, on a spirituality, there is no difference. Both good and bad intentions and thoughts have some impact on us. Bad intention, even you don't have intention, just thinking about haram darkens our heart. There's a sentence attributed to Isa alayhi salam that he said, "O people, you have been told not to sin, but I tell you not even think about sinning." So wise saying. Even thinking about sinning can have bad impact. Plus, it is these kind of thoughts that finally push you towards doing bad things. Why some people do bad things for the first time? It's not their habit. They have not done this before. Because they kept thinking and thinking, and then it becomes normalized for them, and finally they lose their control and they do it. It's better to close the door, say, I don't want to think about this. It's much easier not to think about it. Imagine, for example, I am hungry, and at the same time, I am fasting. Okay, because I don't think about what is in the fridge, what is, on the, for example, I don't know, shelf. I have peace of mind. Okay, I'm fasting, but I cannot eat. I don't think about these things. I make myself engage with other activities. But when I am not fasting and I can eat and drink, then it's more difficult not to eat and drink. For example, you have certain diet, or I don't know, there are things which have, maybe sugar, etc. And you say, shall I eat this or not? Shall I drink this or not? You go and open the fridge and, you get, excited, you get, motivated to eat. So if it is not good for your health, but it is not fasting, but it's not good for your, okay, say, I close my mind to this option. This is no such an option. Don't think about it. Till inshallah you find something healthy. You pass by for example, pastry shop. Don't go and look around and say, okay, I go just to enjoy myself by looking, and then I don't eat. Why you torture yourself? And why you put yourself in danger of losing your control? Maybe you go there and then finally you decide to. And sometimes, we don't do something and then we get excited and we overdo it later. You buy, even more than one and eat more than one. So it's better you control your thoughts. Those who are interested in the series on Adab al-Salat by the late Imam Khomeini, we had 2 sessions, if I'm not mistaken, it's session 10 and 11, on how to control your thoughts and obey khayal during Salat and outside Salat. Okay. So, bad thoughts to be controlled, but as long as they have not been put into action, generally there is no punishment for them. Good thoughts, good intentions can be even rewarded, even if they are not put into action. Number 2, both good actions, good intentions and bad intentions have impact on our spirituality and on our heart. And the third point is about helping others. If you yourself move towards something and make the first or second step, but you don't do it and it is haram, it might be okay in the sense that it might be punished. Spiritual is bad. For example, he says, imagine if someone thinks of making a sinful place, like a place for people to see bad movies, haram movies. If it's for himself, he wants to make this, he thinks about this, even maybe he makes the design as, himself as an architect, for example, makes the design. As long as he has not done it, he says he may not be deserving or entitled for punishment. But if you are an architect and you know someone is going to do this and you help them in planning, then he said this might be different because you have helped someone with doing something which is haram. Of course, this is very technical discussion. In Maqasid al-Muharram, Shaykh Ansari has talked about many types of helping people with doing haram. In some cases, it is haram. In some cases, if what you do can be used for both halal and haram, you may not be responsible. Everyone checks with their marja. But we should, generally speaking, be sure that whatever you do, even if from a fiqh perspective, it is not haram, or it is not yet reaching the level of action, or it is for you neutral, but someone else is going to use it and doing haram, in the end of the day, you will see the results of every good and bad intention or thought in the form of your heart, your spirituality, your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are not just concerned about haram in fiqh or legal sense. Suppose Allah is not going to punish you for this, but it has bad impact on you if you think about doing bad things. And it can finally push you to that direction. Anyway, Alhamdulillah, we finished also this lesson. Inshallah, we have one more lesson and the book will finish. And that is about working. Working is also very important. We shouldn't be idle. We shouldn't put the burden of other people and say, okay, I want to be more spiritual. I want to study more, do ibadah more. And I don't want to work. My father pays for me or my government, gives me support. No, working is very important. Inshallah, this will be the last lesson, inshallah, that we will discuss. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.
Yes,
Is there any question or comment?
Yeah. Yes, people with questions can raise their hands. Allah, there is a question in silent yourselves.
There's no question? Okay.
There's a question, Allah.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm from Karachi.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My question is how to protect yourself from evil attentions from non-mahrams when you are not looking at them, but they are looking at you. And if you refuse to respond in the same manner, they abuse you, they become rebellious and angry and abusive. So how do we protect ourselves from the abusers that are trying to hijack our attention towards them and want us to look at them, want us to give them attention. How do we protect ourselves from those evil people? Thank you.
Yeah. In the first place, we should try to avoid such encounters. Prevention is the best thing when it comes to such issues. If there is a place that you would have such encounters, or there are certain individuals that when you meet them, such problems happen. So first, you try to prevent. Don't go there. Don't put yourself in that condition. Secondly, we don't need to please everyone. We just need to be sure that we don't offend anyone, but we don't need to please everyone and make everyone happy, especially when it's in conflict with our values and principles. So maybe someone doesn't know my culture, but doesn't have bad intention. So I can explain that, for example, I cannot shake hands with you because you are not mahram. Or, for example, if they are not well dressed, I cannot look at you. If you think they might be offended, you explain to them so that they are not offended. But if someone has plan and wants to engage you and attract you towards herself, or for a lady wants to attract towards himself, a man wants to attract lady, and if you don't do it, they abuse you, then these people are the people that you should try either to change them or change your relation. Don't meet them. And if it's necessary to be in touch with them because, for example, you work in the same place and it's not your choice and you cannot go to another office, another department, then try to keep the relation to the minimum.
Yes.
Keep your relation to the minimum, and they will understand. When they see you have integrity and you have your principles, and at the same time you are respectful to them, it's not you are harsh, just I have my limits. Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam was not harsh, was not shouting at those ladies, but was not also accepting their suggestion. He had his own integrity. He was a respectful person, but at the same time, not surrendering to their expectations. And ask Allah for Allah protects you when you are doing things in the right way for Him.
Aga, I have a certain sub-question in this regard that I have been encountered several times in my life, the same situation with a certain amount of people. So I come to realize that it is a pandemic. It is a one kind of pandemic that I used to call it Zulekha syndrome. It is when you do not give or pay any attention to your opposite sex, especially women, they start to become offended. How dare I do not give them the attention they required or they need? They find themselves get offended and they become rebellious and they try to take revenge. They try to humiliate and they try to hurt you, and this some kind of a pandemic. So the cause of their behavior, evil behavior, is our giving them no attention and being busy in our own lives. So they notice our body languages. We do not eye contact them. We only are busy in our own work and we do not pay any attention. So they get attracted by us, by our body language, and they observe us, and we don't know who or when somebody is noticing us. So this has become a real problem. Sometimes I feel like I do not have to go out in this world and keep myself locked in a room, because these kind of people are some sort of everywhere. I'm really very very worried about it. I think that was my second question.
I don't know your situation, but it seems you are either in a very a special place, or maybe you are overreacting. Because sometimes overreaction can make other people feel uneasy. You know, for example, you don't need to, talk to them or engage with them, in a very friendly or, very intimate manner. But as a colleague, when you enter the office, for example, you say, salam, and, if they feel that you are running away from them and, you don't, talk to them, and then that can create tension, that can create, suspicion. Why, what does this person think about me? Does he think that we are, for example, bad people? So I don't know your situation. Maybe you can discuss with your friends, mu'mineen, who are in similar context, and to see whether you are overreacting or showing too much sensitivity, or no, this is real. In any case, I don't think this is pandemic. I don't think this is very common. Most of people, I think, if they know someone has integrity, but it is respectful to them, but, says, I don't want to come to your, gathering, or I don't want to mix with you too much. They appreciate it. Say, okay, this is his way. And inshallah, Allah will help you if, you do things, in the right way. And the main thing is, in the end of the day, everyone should make sure that he's doing what is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without offending others as much as possible. If they want to be offended, even if I do my best, that's their problem. But I try not to offend them. I don't try not to be disrespectful to them, but I have my principles, my ideas, and I don't have time to waste. I don't have energy to waste. I want to focus on what is good for me and people. May Allah bless you, inshallah.
Okay. Thank you. Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah.
Yes, Anwar. Syed Asif Raza.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम आगा, मैं दिल्ली से बोल रहा हूँ। आगा, एक क्वेश्चन ये था कि अगर somebody's wife doesn't want to do hijab, will their husband will be responsible and he will be punished by God in Qiyamah?
Yes, good question. When you are going to marry, you should make sure you marry someone that believes in your principles, in your values. So, for example, if you are committed Muslim, so marry someone who is committed. And one of the things is this lady going to have hijab or not? But if you marry someone who has hijab and you are sure she's observing hijab, later she changes her mind, then I think this is not the point then to say, okay, I want to divorce you, or to force her. Keeping your marriage, I think, is more important. And through kindness, through positive discussion, through meeting pious ladies and families, you should try to bring her back, not by fighting or force or divorce. Okay? But if from beginning she was not practicing hijab, why did you marry such person? You knew that. I'm not saying it's not going to work if you talk to her, but you have to accept that it was your mistake, not that much her mistake. Yes, she's not observing hijab, it's her problem, but you saw her in this condition. So now you have to do extra work to compensate for the mistake that you have done to yourself and to her. And pray to Allah to open her heart to hijab. in any case, I don't think we should fight over hijab. A husband should, see what's the influence that he has. Sometimes if husband says to the wife not to do it, she will not do it. The husband is responsible. Sometimes if husband even keeps saying, don't do this, she will do it. Amr Ma'ruf has different circumstances. One of the conditions of Amr Ma'ruf is that there should be possibility of ta'thir, ihtimal ta'thir. There should be possibility of working. If it is not working, and you keep saying and asking, it can create just more tension. If she, na'udhu billah, is having haram relations, that's another thing. But if it is just not having hijab, you see how you can bring her back. If by saying, please don't do this, she will stop, alhamdulillah. If you have to take time, explain, or if you have to just leave it for some time and through other ways, bring her love back to yourself, then you do it. So my point is this: before we marry, we should consider such things. If you want someone with full hijab or certain type of hijab, choose that type of person. But if you marry with someone who has no hijab or good hijab, and after marriage you want to keep, asking and making this a point of tension and, na'udhu billah, divorce, and especially when you are going to have children and you want to divorce for this, or that lady is going to suffer after divorce, I don't think hijab is an issue over which you should divorce your wife. That's hijab itself. Inshallah, try to bring her back. But as I say, repeat again for the third time, before marriage, make your decisions. Not that you fall in love and say, later, inshallah, I will work on her hijab. She had done this argument against you that you saw me in this way. I didn't hide from you. Why you accept it? If she accepts, alhamdulillah. But I'm saying just don't fight over this. This is my humble opinion.
Yes, Anwar. Faisal.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I would like to ask a question, it's personal. It's regarding depression, and it's regarding, the question that the boy asked you, the one that was, saying that girls are attracted to him and all that. In that situation, I would like to discuss with you. I'm on I have depression, but now I'm trying to understand Quran.
Please mention where you're speaking from also.
Oh, sorry. I'm from Canada. I'm from
Yes.
Canada. I'm a Pakistani, but I live in Canada. Been
Yes.
living here for a long time. So I was trying to say that, because of the weather and it all started, but the thing is that I feel after reciting Quran, understanding it word by word, and I have a couple of agha or khwahar who have come from Qom, who have studied well, and they are helping me to learn Quran. The
Very
thing
good.
I wanted to discuss is that I'm trying to come out of it, and because Quran does heal the spirits, right? The ruh.
Yes.
And the medicine is given to the body. Recently, I heard a lecture from here only, from this group only. Someone was talking about this subject. What I'm trying to say is that, like the boy said that, girls are after him, he's trying his best and all. And what I'm trying to say, yes?
Your voice was cut up. You said recently you have been hearing something here, then it was not clear.
Yeah, recently, I feel I'm getting a little bit better. But when I get better, and my issue is like, my issue is that I am a strong person. Personally, I think that. And I don't like if something wrong goes on in front of my eyes, because Allah has showed me that I'm a witness of that, and I should try in my best, the way to, help them or solve the problem. So often I get into trouble a lot with family, but I try not to disobey my husband. But the thing is that people, like he said, she's after me and all this, and then they tell me that I'm on medicine, and I have a problem. So maybe, when I'm like a little bit, telling them my views, they say that I'm on medicine and I am like, should eat more. People put opinions and everything on us sometimes. We are in such situations, we try to do good, but there are situations that we are put into, right? So like you said, like to that boy also, that maybe it's your reaction, or maybe it's overreacting, or maybe it's me. I just want to give a comment that Aga, it's not always like that. Sometimes it is like that, sometimes it's not. It's because you're like you said, he must be in a wrong situation, like I'm in a wrong situation. But I do understand that I have to have peace in my home. It's my fard to have peace in my home. But all these situations where we are put in the test, when we don't understand Allah, and and especially Quran, we get into these depression, and like voice is reacting or whatever. So we should have more ilm, more knowledge for people, for mental strength. You know what I mean? Mental strength, ruhani strength, how to get out of this situation by understanding Quran. Because Pakistanis, Indians, other than Arabs, they don't read Quran the way they should read, right? I mean, I am 58 now, and I'm reading Quran now, trying to understand. Now I get in my brain that I should have read the Quran long back, like 5 years old, when I was I should have started at that time, right? But the thing is that there's no help. When I was in preparation, there was no ruhani help from my community, from my masjid, from my Imam Barga. And I had to go to the other people, and they gave me such medicines that, it made my mind numb. It's not only me. There are so many women over here who are depressed, Muslim women, because they have such situations in their homes. And then other people, try to misguide them that, no, my husband is this, no, your husband, or no, my kids are this. Though wrong is happening in their home. We should have some counseling done for people like us. You know what I mean? Yeah. We should have more help from you, Agha, from others, that they give us mental strength plus ruhani strength. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. In the past, maybe when we were children.
That's the end.
Yeah, thank you. In the past, maybe these things were not very common, but I think now, alhamdulillah, everyone has access either locally or through internet to many things which are positive. Just we need to be very selective. We need to ask experienced people, knowledgeable people, find good courses, good contacts. And now I think everyone everywhere can learn the Quran, can, learn spirituality. Of course, if you are in a good community, that's great. If Masjid Imam Bara provides this, that's great.
My community is very great, sir.
Thank you.
My community, but there's no help. No help. Sorry, I interrupted you. I'm so sorry. But in my community, there's a lot of good people. Everyone is good, but there's no mental help. They tell us to go to the white people, or they go. So I want people like you, Agha, to start this, that, especially women. You don't know, they've gone crazy. Women have gone crazy living in their house. 6 months we don't get out of the house because of snow. And the rest of the 6 months we are working like, So what I mean to say is women need mental strength. If women are mentally strong, they are not misled by their husband that you're crazy, or by their in-laws or friends or even their own parents. It would be better if they get mental strength, and the whole nation will prosper because of that. Islam will prosper because of women.
Yes.
Mothers. I want more help.
Yeah, this is an area that mental health, we need more
So
work.
if we can work on that, I would be really, really grateful, because yes, every other. Yeah. Men, they go out a lot and they work and they run situations, but they only can solve one situation at one time. Women are multitaskers. They're taking care of kids, they're taking care of, I'm saying Allah has given everybody proper, perfect life, because He wants us near Him. But where to get the sense for the women? And like you said, go on internet. Some people, they go on the wrong side. Like the other day, I put in Fatima Zahra, such a wrong side came up. And if there's a 14-year-old girl mentally disturbed, what will she think? What will she do? She'll read that side because she thinks that's right. You understand what I'm saying, sir? It's a big thing I'm asking you. It's a very big thing. But slowly, we can win the race, because we have Aima with us, Allah with us.
Yes.
So we need more mental strength.
Yes.
And Ruhani strength. How to get it? Mental strength and Ruhani strength together, we can do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Ahsantan, thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. Also, physical activity is also very important. Health, needs also, even for mental health, you need physical exercise. I think if we, walk, we run, if we do some healthy sports, it's very good even for your, mental health. In addition to the things that we have to do for mental health directly. May Allah bless you, inshallah. May Allah help us to fulfill all responsibilities. I myself feel responsible to work something for mental health of community. But, our time is limited, but inshallah, Allah gives barakah, inshallah. Thank you very much. Ahsantum. Maybe the last question, if there is any question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm talking from New York, and whatever the sister was saying, I 100% agree with it. And please, we should, maybe the revival people can arrange one dars about counseling, helping one-to-one women who cannot go anywhere, like she's saying, the center is good, the community is strong, but still they don't have those counseling sessions, like private, secure, where they have confidence, whatever I say will stay here and it will not go out in the society. So if my request, maybe the revival people can also arrange such thing, or maybe they can give us the names for the counselors, the Muslim Islamic religious counselors who can help women. There must be people out there, right? So maybe they can call them either, or they can give their contact. Once they'll call them, and then we'll have the contact number of those people also. Like, for example, I know one sister, Begum Asghari, she is in, I think in Houston, somewhere in America. So maybe there are other who are ready to come on revival and give a little dars and then give their contact number or whatever, Please, if you all can arrange it. Thank you. Jazakallah.
May Allah bless you. So maybe the organizers, because I am just giving one dars here, I am not part of the admin team. Maybe they can, inshallah, consider this and find qualified people to offer this kind of. May Allah bless you, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Yes, Allah, inshallah. Allah, can you please recite the dua?
Inshallah. We have also some people who are ill, and we are concerned with them. There are people who have requested for dua, so we recite 3 times Amman Yujib first. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا اللهم اشف مرضانا اللهم ارحم موتانا اللهم اغفر لوالدينا ولوالدي والدينا ولمن وجب له حق علينا ولمن أوصانا بالدعاء ولجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات. اللهم عجل في فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره وشيعته. اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى وجنبنا عما لا تحب ولا ترضى. اللهم اجعل عواقب أمورنا خيرا. وصلى على محمد وآل محمد برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. التماس الدعاء في أمان الله.
جزاك الله.